So professional. All right. Hi guys, my name is Claire. I am a part of the 530 CrossFitter group, and I just joined CrossFit only a few months ago, so I'm fresh to the CrossFit fam. But this is a little bit about me. There's all my stuff. I'm not a huge fan of talking about myself, but I am an accredited practicing dietitian, a sports dietitian. I do a lot of S&C coaching, powerlifting coaching. I'm primarily a powerlifter, but I really wanted to improve my cardiovascular fitness. So that's why I do CrossFit now. So we're gonna just start off with some admin for the 6-week challenge. If you guys can all take out your phones, and we're gonna download MyFitnessPal. I want to see every MyFitnessPal up in front of me. Nice.
Yeah.
While you guys are downloading that, I'll just be talking back here. If I'm not loud enough, please tell me. I'm not a huge public speaker, but I'm really working on it because I have to do stuff for my PhD. So that's also why I'm here today, practicing being a public speaker. While you're setting up your MyFitnessPal, just a little bit about the app. It will try to set your macronutrients for you. I want you to ignore that because MyFitnessPal is notorious for forcing you to undereat really, really badly. So we're going to be using the Precision Nutrition macro calculator. It's a company out of Canada. They're really wonderful, and we'll put in all the things that you guys gave us on the worksheets today and print out a macronutrient guide based off of hand portion sizes. So it'll say like a fist serving of protein, a thumb serving of fat, and then you build your meals out of that. But it should also give you your macros that you need per day, and you can input those in MyFitnessPal yourself manually rather than letting it auto-populate what it thinks that you should do for your target goal, if that makes sense. So like when you're setting up MyFitnessPal, just like skip through all the things that it's asking you about your height and your weight. Like it doesn't really matter. We only care about using the app to track your daily intake. And then we'll be able to go in and see that you're tracking, see how you're going, check your macros, that you're sticking to whatever your meal plan says. James, just to confirm, the Precision Nutrition printout,
Yep.
Does it have the macros on it?
Yes.
That they can put into MyFitnessPal?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what will happen, guys, in a sec, I'm going to frantically jump on the computer and put everyone into the system that's going to spew out what you're going to do in terms of calories and macros for the next 6 weeks, right? And then you're going to put that information into MyFitnessPal. You're going to put the calories and you're going to put the macros in there, the percentages of the three different. Claire's going to explain more what macros are and everything in a minute if you're a bit unsure. Now, we're then going to use MyFitnessPal to track everything that you do, and I really want people to get on board with that and be really religious with it because it makes a hell of a difference. You're going to, in MyFitnessPal, you can add people as friends, right? And you can give them permission to see what you're doing. We're going to get you to add both me and Claire. I'm going to give you our emails in a sec. I'll pass this around. You can do it now, you can do it later. I'm going to email you about it as well, so don't stress if you're unsure. And if you're unsure if you're not great with tech and apps and stuff, grab any of us before you leave today and we'll just do it for you. Cool, nice and easy. And then we'll be able to go in and see. And Claire's going to talk later about the check-ins that she's setting up, where you can actually come in, sit down 15 minutes each week and have a chat and look through it all. That was roughly what we're doing, something like that. She'll explain more about that. If you've linked this into MyFitnessPal, then Claire can look at everything beforehand, be prepared for it, and make that more specific to you. So the more data and the more information we have, the better this is going to be. Cool. Awesome. Good chat.
In your guys' MyFitnessPal, go into settings right now. Go to diary sharing, and then you're going to want to click friends only because it's auto turned off.
And you can add each other and do all that kind of stuff if you don't.
Because that's the hardest part, is when you do add us, we can't actually see it until you enable the permissions. So it's diary settings, It should be either you go to like Friends or Diary Sharing. There's multiple ways to get to the same place the last time I looked at MyFitnessPal.
Friends, we're selecting friends.
Yes, select Friends. Yeah, so it's Friends only, so that when you add us, we'll be able to see.
So I'll put our emails over here so you can do that later. That way you're not stuck in your phone the whole time while Claire's talking.
When we're done today, just go over to the counter and add us as friends. And if you guys are still stuck with the sharing settings, just come see me at the end and I'll fix it for you. So also a little bit about MyFitnessPal is you'll notice when you input data, when you're like, let's just say that you're having a sandwich. If you go in and put in sandwich, it's going to be pretty inaccurate. You want to try to break your foods down into separate entities. So sandwich would be like 2 pieces of bread, a slice of whatever meat, a slice of whatever cheese. And then honestly with vegetables, this one I usually leave up to the person. You can track all your vegetables, but you don't really have to, because I find it really pedantic if you have a salad and then you add like a whole cup of lettuce and then a few shavings of carrots and a few pieces of capsicum, and then it all adds up to like, I don't know, 15, 30 grams of carbohydrate, and it's not huge, and it's also in like the best form of possible carbohydrate I could ever ask you to eat, which is vegetables. So if you want to be like extra pedantic during the 6-week challenge, go for it, track your veggies. If you want to just track the main things, you can leave out like your leafy greens, like little tiny vegetables like garlic and onion and little pieces. It's fine. They're not going to make you gain weight if you don't track those things. Does that make sense? Any other MyFitnessPal also, when you're selecting things, you'll notice there's like a blue check mark next to some foods and there's not next to other foods. And that usually means the blue check marks, they've been sort of validated to be as accurate as possible. And the stuff that is unchecked, I myself could go into MyFitnessPal and put slice of bread, 200 calories. And so anybody could do that, and then you'd be selecting that very inaccurate value. So you want to try to, as much as possible, pick the stuff that has the blue check mark, and it's going to be a little bit more accurate for you. The weekly check-ins. So, the setting up teams. So we're going to be setting up little teams. I'm not sure if James is setting them up. Or, yes. I'll let James talk about the team situation, but essentially what I would like to see is just you have your teams, you have a team leader who sets up your group chat on any mobile platform that you guys will all use, and then you're just checking in there with each other daily, complaining about life, telling each other to go to the gym, that kind of stuff. So you can kind of keep each other accountable in niche little groups and also see how your weight loss is tracking. For your weekly check-ins, you will get a link to a form, and then every week I want you to fill out that form. It's really basic. It's just what's your current weight. I think it's like how many training sessions did you do this week? And then there's a nutrition question that I added. It was like, how do you feel on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 that you did with your nutrition this week? I did great, I nailed it, a 5. I really struggled, a 1. And if you just give me that tiny little piece of data, I can go, okay, my 5s, I'm not worried about you. The 1s, I'm gonna try to get in touch with you and help you out. The other thing that we can do is on Fridays, I haven't set up a time yet, but I'm planning on Fridays coming in here and just having an open chat time. If you guys wanna come and talk nutrition stuff or complain, that's also what I love to listen to the complaining about nutrition, because it's hard. It's really hard. And then the precision nutrition meal planning, hopefully we can talk about those at the end once they're printed out and you have what you'll be working with. We already did all this with the handouts. And then goal setting. So whenever you guys are doing any challenge, so this is applicable for this challenge and then anything in the future, you should always be setting SMART goals. You guys have probably heard this before, but they need to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And that's going to help you stay in a structure so that you can actually achieve what you set out to achieve. Because oftentimes, you'll be like, oh, I want to lose a little bit of weight. But then you never do, because there's no structure around that. So for the purpose of this challenge, we are doing, our specific goal is weight loss. Our measurement is the weight on the scale. If you're doing weight loss in the future, great measures are also like a body circumference or circumference tape measures anywhere around your body, like a full workup of arms, thighs, hips, booty, all of that. And also photos are really great to track. If you're feeling confident with seeing yourself on a regular basis and being kind to yourself on the progress that you're seeing. If you're very analytical, maybe stay away from the pictures. And then achievable. This one I like to focus on because when it comes to weight loss or any goal, a lot of times we set ourselves pretty strong goals that are really difficult, and we have to really be honest with ourselves with, is our current world, our lifestyle, our family situation, our work situation, does it allow for us the time to achieve this goal? And be as honest with yourself as possible in that, because sometimes it's okay to be like, you know what, right now is not the time for me to do this goal, but there will be a time and later on in the year that I can do it, and that's the time I'm going to set out my goals. But for right now, we're here, we're doing the 6 weeks challenge, we're in it, and I'm gonna slap you to make sure that you finish it, yeah? For our realisticness of this goal, I prefer I'm very evidence-based, and the literature says that the healthiest weight loss, the most sustainable weight loss, is 0.5 to 1% of your total body weight loss per week. If you are going over that, there is a high probability that you will regain that weight back at the end of the challenge. However, for the purpose of this challenge, I know we're all trying to just go hard, learn some things, see how far we can go. So for this next 6 weeks, you've already set your goals, but anywhere between 3 to 9% of your total body weight loss in the next 6 weeks is possible. But if you're up on that higher end, there's a good chance it's coming back at the end. But I'm gonna do another talk at the end of this challenge, and we're gonna talk about how to sustain what we've done, or how to continue, how to set new goals so that we don't go deficit and then rebound, because that's the worst. And timely, so we're doing 6 weeks for this. Also, when it comes to weight loss, I always tell everybody that I work with, try to avoid your main goal only being weight loss alone, or how you look in the mirror alone. Try to pair that with a performance goal, because if you pair it with something else, you're gonna be like just a little bit more motivated to continue on your track. So for the 6 weeks, have a think about, do you want to improve your handstand hold? Do you want to improve your sprint speed, which is what I would do? Do you want to just improve the weight and reps that you're doing on a certain exercise? Have a think about it, write it down, ready, go. Pick a performance goal, and then tell people. I would like a full handstand by the end of the 6 weeks, against the wall. It could also be something like be able to walk 5 kilometers on a certain path without getting puffed. Like if you have a hill near your house, being able to walk up that hill without it being like incredibly hard. It doesn't have to be really complicated, your goal. It could be, over the next 6 weeks, I wanna walk 15 minutes when I wake up in the morning, and that's it. And then come back home and do whatever it is that I'm doing for the rest of the day. Do we pick some goals already? Do you have a goal? What's your performance goal? Mad. Awesome. What's yours?
Mine's just run 400 meters without struggling.
Me too. I thought I would do the sprints because it's short. What's yours?
Mine is running as well.
Yeah. Running is freaking hard. Any other good ones?
I want to get decent butterfly pull-ups. Because I really want to, but I've been saying that for years and I just don't practice, so now's the time.
Are you going to do it every day? Or every time you're here? Just practice one?
Look, for the purposes of answering in front of all these people, yes, every day.
Good answer.
Every damn day.
Good answer. Do you know, we're probably having to do muscle ups in this CrossFit thing coming up, right?
Yeah, I've lost them. I should probably have that as my goal as well.
We should practice this. Can we just do pull-ups? Okay. And then the other thing I want you to think about alongside your performance goal is, why are you doing this challenge? So why do you want to lose the weight? Why is that so important to you? Where do you see yourself in 6 weeks that is going to be dramatically different to where you are now? And I want you to really think about this. It can't just be, I want to look better. We need to kind of go down the why. So maybe just write down a few things. Start with, well, I want to look better. Then maybe, well, if I look better, maybe someone, I don't know, maybe I'll feel more confident in myself to do the things I love. Maybe I will feel better. Maybe my joints won't hurt so much. And then beyond the 6 weeks, in 6 months' time, can we extend that out? What are you going to feel in 6 months' time? If you sustain that weight loss, how's your whole life going to be different than where it is right now? And just write a few things down. Have a think about, why hasn't it worked in the past? When you have tried to lose weight, what were the barriers that you hit? Was your family eating a bunch of stuff around you and you just couldn't help it? You got the FOMO. If they're eating donuts, you wanted to eat donuts too? Were you super stressed out with work? Did you feel like you had no time on your hands to dedicate X amount of time to your nutrition and training? What were the barriers that you've hit in the past? Write that down. And then we need to think about, how are we going to overcome that? If that happens in the next 6 weeks, what actions are you going to take to get past that? Because if it's happened in the past when you've tried to lose weight, it's probably going to happen again. And if you've got a barrier and you don't know how to solve it right now, which is totally fine, maybe just come up and chat to me at the end and I can give you a few ideas. Because I really want you guys are here to achieve something, and I really want you to achieve it, and I don't want anybody to hit a wall and just tap out. Okay? Fabulous. Sweet. Okay. So I'm just going to go through a few of the basics of weight loss. I've tried to make it simple because I tend to overcomplicate things because I'm a bit of a nerd. So if there's anything that you want me to expand on, please tell me. Please feel free to jump into the conversation. It makes it easier for me. I like to talk back and forth with people. If you have a random question, ask it, because there's probably somebody else having the same question. The basics of weight loss is we need to be burning more energy than we're consuming. There's so many caveats to that, but the basics is burn more, eat a little bit less. It's a very simplified version that kind of hurts. Are we all familiar with what a calorie is? It's from food. It's a form of energy. We turn it into energy into our bodies to do things, to move our arms and think. Now, weight loss, most people come to me and what they're actually asking for is fat loss. I want to look more toned. I want to look like I do the exercise that I do, you know? A lot of times with people, when I start to work with them for weight loss, we really focus on the fat loss and the muscle growth and how that turns into a stable weight on the scale, because scale weight doesn't accurately depict what's going on in your body, because the same amount of fat and muscle can be wildly different sizes. So fat is way less dense than muscle tissue. So if you lost 2 kilos of muscle or of fat during this 6-week challenge, and you are just genetically blessed that when you're in a deficit, your body easily puts on muscle mass, which is a lot of people, especially like CrossFitters and stuff. You might not see a huge shift on the scale, but you will see a huge shift in your performance, how you feel in your body, and your body composition itself. You'll feel a little bit tighter, you'll see a little bit more muscle tissue, but that scale is gonna piss you off. So that's why with this challenge, I know the purpose is to lose as much weight as fast as possible, and there are prizes and such, I hear, to be won. But try not to make that the main focus of this challenge. If you are doing the work, if you're eating right, and you are training hard, and that scale's not reflecting that, it's a lie, and you are changing. So just try to remind yourself that. Keep the scale weights so that I can see them, and then when you're like, it's not moving, come talk to me, and I'll be like, let's talk about how well you've been adhering your plan, and it's probably lying, and you're probably feeling a whole lot better, like our clothes fitting a little bit looser. Are there any questions on that? Great. The other thing I always like to mention is nutrition and training should be in different buckets. They work together really nicely for weight loss goals, performance goals, but we should never be trying to compensate with one another. So if you overeat something, we should never be turning to exercise to solve that problem. We should be questioning, why do we overeat something? We should be giving ourselves forgiveness, saying it's okay, what can we learn from this experience, and how can we nourish our bodies next time, rather than going, crap, I just ate that, and now I need to go run a mile. Not okay, because exercise is not a punishment, it's a gift. So we use our nutrition for weight management, we use it for social occasions, we enjoy food, it's yummy. But we also use nutrition to nourish our bodies. So it has a huge impact on our immune function, our lifespan even, brain function, our reproductive health. It changes our digestion, it improves our mood, and it can also tinker with your cravings. So the more healthy, I hate to say, good and bad foods are healthy versus non-healthy, but the more fruits and veggies and protein that you eat, the more you'll start to crave those, and the cravings for the sugar will start to go down, which is why one of the future goals perhaps that we'll talk about is maybe getting rid of sugar for the 6 weeks, but we'll talk about that. And then for your training, we do that to improve your fitness, to improve your performance. We do it because we love moving, but we never do it as a punishment. You'll notice on the many times where you wake up in the morning and you're like, I really don't want to go to the gym. And if you force yourself to go to the gym, how many times are you like, I'm so glad I went to the gym. I feel so much better that I went and moved my body. Every time. I've never moved and been like, oh, I wish I didn't move, unless you injure yourself. It's a different question. And then training does have a direct impact on our immune function. It can improve your immunity by training. Your heart health, of course, improves. Your digestion actually improves because exercise is how we get our bowels, it gives them more motility. It can also has a direct link to our gut bacteria. Exercise can change our gut bacteria, which I find so fascinating. And of course, it impacts our bone density. So resistance training can increase your bone density. This is really important for my ladies as well as we get older. We really should be doing a lot of resistance training and maybe not so much cardio. Key message, you cannot out-train a bad diet. They are separate entities. Train because you love it. So training recommendations, you guys are here doing CrossFit, so you're going to be doing CrossFit as much as possible. I'm hoping on your goal setting that you've put, how many days a week do I want to do CrossFit or come and train at the gym? Do we all have those goals set up? No? Write it down. How many days a week are you going to train? How many days a week are you going to go for a walk? What's your plan for your training? Do you want to try to do the 10,000 steps a day? Have you ever tried that before? And if you haven't, maybe try to do 8,000 steps a day. All of your phones have an automatic health tracker that will tell you how many steps per day you're doing on average. If you haven't seen it before, it's already there. So it will tell you, most people tend to be around 3,000 to 5,000 steps a day. A really easy goal for this challenge is try to bump that up to 10,000 steps a day, which is an hour, maybe 2 hours, depending on how fast you walk, of walking. Walking goal, training goal, performance goal. Have we written them down? Yeah? Sweet. Really important that I stress for all of my clients is that we intentionally move every day. This is like just long-term healthy habits. Moving house does not count as exercise. Chores around the house does not count as exercise. Mowing the lawn does not count as exercise. Yes, you are exercising, but it's not an intentional movement that you're really enjoying and that you're being mindful about, and that it's really going to improve your mental health. Moving house doesn't improve my mental health. I don't know about you guys. Like, mowing the lawn is not very enjoyable. Intentionally move, have a mindful moment, and we've already talked about working towards your goal. Okay, so the nutrition stuff. The basics work. I wish I could tell you there was a magic solution, but no fad diets really work. The keto diet, the paleo diet, the carnivore, intermittent fasting, all of those things are just varying forms of a calorie deficit. You're cutting out food groups, or you're restricting your feeding window. You're just making it easier to get into a calorie deficit, which is great in the short term. It does work. I've seen people be really successful on like keto and stuff, but they always struggle to transition out of it. Every single time, if you get rid of a whole food group, when you go back to normal eating, the weight always comes back on, because you haven't learned how to portion just and have like have a healthy relationship with food. You've really just cut out a food group, and once you enter it back in, the weight comes back. So let's try to avoid that. However, I will 100% support you if you want to do that. If anybody wants to do fasting or keto, fully support you, because it's still a learning experience if you do it. So the basics works. We want to eat whole foods, minimize processed foods. We want to optimize protein and vegetable intake. You should be having protein at regular boluses across the day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. Ideally 4 times across the day, you consume a little bit of protein, because that keeps your body in a state of building and repairing muscle tissue. You're constantly fueling your muscles. You're giving your body a better chance to preserve muscle. When you're in a deficit, it's very easy for our bodies to not only pull from fat stores, but also muscle tissue. And we don't want your body to pull any muscle from you while you're dieting. We want to keep as much muscle as possible, if not build it. And we do that by eating protein very regularly across the day. We want to make sure you're fueling your training. This is something I want to stress mostly for my morning crew. We should probably be eating before we work out, even if it's at 5:30 a.m. However, I have a coffee. So ideally, you want to be having protein and carbohydrate before and after you train, but as a minimum, before or after you train, because at the very least, that's giving you nutrients around your workout. So we'll go through protein and carbohydrates next, I believe, but basically, protein gives you the building blocks to build your muscle tissue. Carbohydrate gives you the energy to do the work. So if you go into workout and you haven't eaten in like 5 hours, your workout is going to be slow, and you're not going to be able to work as hard as you could had you fueled with some carbohydrate beforehand. Which means if you're fueling with carbohydrate, you work a little bit harder, you probably have a better chance of building a bit more muscle. If you don't eat beforehand, not going to work as hard, less muscle. Make sense?
How soon beforehand?
2 hours, 3 hours, it depends on how much you eat. So usually if it's a main meal, you probably want to give yourself maybe 3 to 4 hours to digest it, because you don't want to go into a workout just with a big hunk of stuff in your stomach. But if you're just having like a little snack, if you do like a really easy pre-workout is some high protein yogurt and maybe a banana, and you could do that within an hour to 2 hours. I have done it right before I train. Sometimes in the mornings, I will do just a little bit of carbohydrate like as a juice, because it doesn't stick in your stomach, and then afterwards have the dose of protein and carbohydrate. It's really individual. How does your stomach feel? Yeah? Any more questions on that one? Cool. These are your protein sources. This is a very basic list from Precision Nutrition. There's many more, but protein is our meat, our fish, eggs. Low-fat dairy is a really good source of protein. Tofu and tempeh are great. Wild game, if you're interested, kangaroo is a really good source of protein. It's high in iron, it's low in fat. It's awesome if you're open to it. I struggle with game meats, but I'm trying, because it's really good for you. The other thing that is actually really good for you is organ meats. Organ meats are gross. However, They're incredibly lean, they're high protein, low fat, and they're essentially like a micro nutrient bombshell in a piece of meat. It's like eating a multivitamin and meat at the same time. If you're game, you should try it. Yeah, that's all I say there. Our fats are really good for you. We absolutely need them for hormone production. They are they build the cell membranes of basically every cell in our body, so it's really important not to cut out fats. However, you can't have too much fats because they're more dense in energy than carbohydrates and fats. I can go into that more if you want me to, but essentially we need to have a guide to how much fats we have per day because like you don't even feel them in your stomach. You can overeat them really easily, but you really need them. So just be aware that you need to portion them throughout the day. Don't go overboard. We love nuts and seeds. We love peanut butter, but we need them in small doses. Yeah? The oils that we want to be choosing for cooking is avocado oil and olive oil. Those are our best friends. Fats can also be found in our sauces, of course high-fat cheeses or even just moderate-fat cheeses. We need to count those in your Precision Nutrition handout. Those are going to be towards your fat serving. But because you're doing MyFitnessPal, it'll add all these things up for you, so you should be sweet. Have you guys all done tracking in MyFitnessPal before or No, not at all. Whew, come to me. I will help you. Okay, so those are our fats.
With the nuts, is it?
I don't know how to go backwards, but continue. Raw nuts, yeah. Any nuts and seeds, oils, yeah. And then we've got our carbohydrates. These are our beans and lentils, all of our grains. When you guys are choosing your carbohydrates for the next 6 weeks, I want you to really focus on high fiber. So we're gonna try to avoid white rice, white pasta, white potato. We're gonna try to really focus on the colorful stuff, the dark grainy stuff, anything that's brown, all of that's the higher fiber stuff. When you are dieting, you need higher fiber. One, because when you're dieting, there's less energy going to your gut. So oftentimes our digestive system slows down. A lot of people with IBS, in my experience, tend to just be people who are under eating. So we need to bump up the fiber. Make sure that you're eating like a 1-to-1 ratio, fiber to water, because if you only eat fiber, constipation is going to happen. It's not going to be great. So you need to drink a lot of water. But I would love you guys to experiment with things like steel cut or rolled oats rather than quick oats, because quick oats are like they're pre-digested for you. We've already chopped them up, but we want them whole. Maybe try some quinoa, try some buckwheat, barley. I personally have never tried farro or sorghum. Has anybody had that before? More sweet potatoes. Of course, our fruit and veggies can all count towards our carbohydrate, but like I said at the beginning, it's up to you if you want to track vegetables. The only vegetables that I really do need you to track would be corn and if it's a potato or fruit, because those are higher in carbohydrate. The veggies that are low in carbohydrate are the leafy stuff, basically green stuff, and onions and mushrooms and things like that. You're not going to be eating like a ton of that, so that's fine. Any questions on that? Cool. Your dairy also has carbohydrate in it, so that's just something to note. Oh, we went backwards this time. Okay, this is a list of low-calorie snacks. Take a screenshot or write down your favorite ones. This is a dieter's best friend. Every time somebody comes to me doing a diet, I immediately say, have you tried sugar-free Jell-O? It's a lifesaver. When you're hungry, if you keep sugar-free Jell-O pre-made in your fridge at all times, you can binge it. You can chew it. You can have the whole bucket. It's wonderful. It's 0 calories. You don't need to be afraid of sweeteners. I can go into a whole talk about sweeteners, but I'll only do that if somebody asks me. Sweeteners are not bad for you. I would just say steer clear of things like erythritol and maltitol. If it ends with an OL, it's a sugar alcohol, and it's going to go straight through you, and it's not going to be a good time. There's things like sugar-free gummy bears. I had those one time. They're maltitol. Ate a whole bag. Biggest mistake of my life. Some people can tolerate a little bit of it. I am not one of those people. Sometimes you might notice if you've ever eaten like 1 or 2 protein bars, especially like the BSC protein bars, those are made with maltitol, and you might find like, oh, my stomach kind of hurts today after I ate that protein bar. It's because that's the sweetener they're using. The sweeteners that are like you shouldn't feel them at all, aspartame, sucralose, stevia. Stevia is the best sweetener out there. Okay? Feel free to have sugar-free soft drink, sugar-free tea, sugar-free avalanche hot chocolate. Those things can be really, really helpful. Ideally you don't want to be having those like all day long every day, but in the context of a diet, these are so incredibly helpful. So don't be afraid to use them. Keep snacks available in the house at all times that are on this list, preferably. The biggest mistake that dieters have is when there's nothing available and then we go, I'll just order Uber Eats. I find it really helpful to keep carrot sticks cut up in my fridge whenever I'm dieting. Nobody likes eating carrots, but if they're cut up in your fridge and ready to go just to grab and chew, you can grumpily chew on it rather than go and make a mistake that you might regret. Add some hummus. Just be aware hummus counts towards your fat intake. I'm sure there's some fancy dips out there nowadays that are really low calorie. Have a look around. I'm not a huge dip person, so I haven't looked at the food environment for those. But if you find something, share them with everybody, because I'm sure we all would love to do carrot sticks and some low calorie dip. That's not going to mess too much with our goals. Popcorn, chickpeas, rice crackers, these are all really great low calorie cracker snacks, salty snacks. Try to choose the low fat popcorn. Try to make sure they're pre-portioned, or take it out of the pack and portion it and then move that bag away from you, because it's really easy to just to keep going, you know. So pre-portion, pre-plan, and you'll be good. Low-fat cottage cheese is a great option for a dip. It's also very high in protein. Our yogurt cups, squeezy pouches, all the Chobani YoPros, those are all fantastic. Apples and berries are like the best dieters' fruits because they're super high in fiber, low in total carbohydrate. Edamame beans are awesome too. Any snack ideas from you guys?
Salsa.
Salsa? Salsa's great. Yep. Smart. Salsa to the list. Okay. Meal prep. Plan ahead or plan to fail. Like this is what I live by. Anytime I've ever had myself or someone else have a successful diet, they are planning their meals the day before. So I would put in MyFitnessPal I'd skip to tomorrow, I'm having this for breakfast, this for lunch, this for dinner, these are my snacks. And then when you get to tomorrow, it's already there. You don't even have to input them. You just execute. And then at nighttime, you do the same thing again for the following day. If MyFitnessPal is too finicky, you can write it down on a piece of paper. These are my meals, these are my snacks, I just need to follow it. Same goes for training. If you don't know what you're doing tomorrow for your exercise, you're probably not gonna do it. If you're like, I'll just do whatever I feel, you're gonna sit on the couch. The day before, this is the time that I'm training, this is what I'm doing, this is the style, execute. Batch cooking can be super helpful. On the weekends, you can do a big prep of just plain meat. Don't even have to do anything fancy. Plain meat, plain brown rice, or just a bunch of potatoes. It's all pre-prepared. You stick it in the fridge. It's all cooked and ready to go. And then during the week, you pull out your portion that you need, add some sauce, add some vegetables. You really got something. Cooking is not my forte. I'm not a chef. There are ways that you can make dieting fun and tasty. I don't have the time. I recommend looking up some recipes. There's so many great resources online. If you just type in like whatever calories, macros that Precision Nutrition sets out for you, you can just say like 1,500 calorie meal plan, and there are things out there that can spit that out for you if you need ideas. Keep backup frozen meals in your freezer so that you don't get home after work and you have nothing and you go Uber Eats. You want to go to the freezer and have either something that you've frozen from a previous meal, or you can use these companies, there's so many coming out nowadays, really high in protein, pretty solid on their veggies. You just have to be a little bit careful if you have a sensitive gut. Some of the additives can be a little bit meh. try around. The best ones that I've had have been from U-Foods, and I think Strength Meals Co. My Muscle Chef is good, but like it just depends on, I'm a sensitive person, it depends on the sauces really. I find it helps if you read the labels. If there's a billion ingredients, see if you can find one with less ingredients, and those tend to be the ones that are a little bit easier on your gut. That's not to say the other ones are bad, it's just how your digestive system works. And keep a shopping list. Again, if your house is empty, you're gonna make bad decisions. So when things get low, refill them before they get empty. Okay?
There's a website, No Time, No Money by Claire Collins.
I've never heard of that one. What does she do?
She's Professor Claire Collins. She's the leading nutritionist at Newcastle.
I should really know her, but I don't.
Claire Collins, right.
I will look her up.
Time, No Money.
I'll look her up, yeah. My main tips for you guys, you can use your hunger and fullness cues to guide this fat loss. Precision nutrition macro recommendations are only gonna take you so far. Finding your maintenance energy intake and your dieting requirement ranges for energy, it's like you just have to try it and see if it works. So I find listening to my hunger and fullness cues really helps. Dieting should be uncomfortable. You should be a little bit pissed off that you don't have a full belly. You should not though feel super sick, any sort of nausea, headachy, incredibly fatigued. Those are all signs that you're probably taking it too far. You can do some serious damage to your body if you diet too hard for too long, which again can go into way more detail, but I won't. That's what my whole PhD is on, is how dieting screws you up and then how do you repair that afterwards. So for the purpose of this 6-week challenge, listen to your body. Don't diet so hard that you feel horrible, but I would like you to just feel a little bit uncomfortable and practice sitting with that, being like, I'm okay that I'm uncomfortable right now, because it's only 6 weeks, I'm gonna get through this. But boy, if you have a mad headache and you're super nauseous, take a break, go eat some food, try to make good decisions. Maybe don't go to donuts and stuff, but let's repair whatever's happening in that moment, and then maybe come chat to me and we can talk through whatever's happening. Eat mindfully. I want you to chew each bite. Because you're eating less food, chew really slowly. Try to chew more than 15 times, if not 30. That's what a lot of dietitians suggest. 30 is a bit much for me, but really think about the taste, the texture of the food. Try not to have distractions. That's gonna do two things for you. One, it's gonna start the digestive process. You're gonna be able to absorb more nutrients because we have an enzyme in our mouths that starts that process for us. So you're gonna get more of that for better absorption. And two, it's gonna help send signals to your brain that you are gonna be full soon or satisfied soon. You guys would notice on the days that you've inhaled food because you're so hungry, you have just eaten way too fast and then suddenly you're overfull and you're like, what just happened? That's because we didn't eat slow enough and we've gone too far. And we talked a little bit about fiber. So fiber and plus water, happy belly, happy digestive system, they're your best friends. If you're not a huge vegetable person, maybe consider having some Metamucil to get your fiber intake up. Again, this is just purely because of the dieting. I don't want people getting constipated. So if you're not a huge veggie person, you've got low energy intake, your digestion's probably gonna take a little bit of a hit. We need to add a little bit of Metamucil, just like a teaspoon, or psyllium husk. Drink some water with it. Hopefully we can manage that kind of stuff. Yeah, any questions about any of that stuff? No? Oh no. Okay, these are the optional challenges. So I know in the past for these 6-week challenges, you guys have gone hard. You have done no alcohol for 6 weeks, no sugar, no packaged snacks, super restrictive. That's cool, we can do that. I fully support you. That's up to you. The pros of doing those sorts of things, it can kickstart your weight loss. There can be a huge learning experience from those sorts of things. It can improve your gut health. It can improve your future cravings and things like that. But we also risk binge eating. We know that that's not going to be sustainable long term to eat like that. There's going to be a time when you want some alcohol. There's going to be a time when there's packaged snacks and that's the only thing that you have available, or some sugar, and you want to enjoy that. So you also have the option of just thinking about maybe a goal for the 6-week challenge is not just weight loss, but also potentially repairing your relationship with food. If there's a chance that you might be doing a full block of chocolate a day, or maybe a full block of chocolate every 3 days, or maybe 10 standard drinks across a week, why don't, rather than just saying, no, I won't do it, why don't we pull that back to, let's do 1 standard drink a day, or 1 standard drink a week, or let's do 2 squares of dark chocolate a day. Let's try not to smash that much food or alcohol in that little time. Have a think about that. Write that down if you need, if you want to work on any of those things. You can also think about swapping bread and pastas for more starchy veg like potato and pumpkin. That's going to be pretty awesome for your gut health. Lots of prebiotics. Oh no, oh no. Okay, supplement stuff, really quick. These are the 4 most evidence-based supplements out there, strongest amount of research behind them. Whey protein is just drinking chicken. Okay, it's not bad for you. There's people sometimes think, oh, I shouldn't be having too much whey or too much supplements and whatnot. It's chicken in a bottle, okay? It's protein source. It's great. You need to be having over 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. So if someone's 100 kilos, that's 160 grams of protein a day at a minimum. That can go all the way up to 3 grams, depends on the person, because also protein requirements increase as we age, which I find pretty wild. Like I was working in the hospitals for a few months, and there were so many people over like 60, 70, and they were having like 40 grams of protein a day. And me as a sports mind, I was like, here, have a supplement, please. More whey, it's not a bad thing. So how you would lay that out is just at a minimum, make sure that you're having a fist-sized serving of protein, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. And I think snack is where we usually fall on the protein. Boiled eggs, you need 4 boiled eggs to hit like a solid dose of protein. And then you also end up, because the yolk of an egg is mostly fat, you also increase your fat intake dramatically. So really the only snack option you've got left is like some yogurt, but then you also have a little bit of carbohydrate in there, maybe a little bit of fat, so you're balancing all of that. Whey protein is chicken, but you don't have to eat chicken again.
Is protein like protein powder? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, protein powder. That's what whey is. There's also an awesome protein called Bodies with a Z, and it's clear protein water, and you can buy it in a bottle at the supplement area of Woolies and Kohl's. It's fantastic because it tastes like juice. It's not like milky. I get really sick of the milky flavors. Highly recommend you go check that stuff out. You can also buy bags of clear protein water, but I find the texture isn't quite as nice as the pre-packaged bottles. So that can be really handy just to have a juice as a snack. It's made out of protein. It's pretty sweet. Bodies with a Z. Then we've got creatine. Creatine is wonderful. It basically primes your energy system so you can do more work a bit faster. We have seen in research that this also impacts people's brains, so it's improving long-term brain function of people with Alzheimer's and dementia. So it's not just for people who work out, it's for everybody. I try to get anybody I ever work with onto a creatine. However, you might experience an increase in water retention, not the kind that makes you feel puffy and uncomfortable, ladies. It's the kind that swells up inside your muscle tissue and it makes you look a little swole. You might get a little vein. It's pretty sweet. I love it. But you might see an increased weight on the scale, like 1 to 3 kilos. That is purely just from creatine in your muscle tissue and is not bad weight. But for that reason, I would recommend you try creatine after the challenge. You don't need it during the challenge because it takes like up to a month or maybe 2 to really load up your creatine stores. So after the challenge, highly recommend go get some creatine. Cheap creatine is the best creatine. Don't buy the fancy, expensive, weird blends. It's called creatine monohydrate. Very cheap, very available. Basically every supplement company makes it. Beta-alanine is our other great one. This one helps buffer against lactic acid. So when you're getting that burning feeling when you're doing too much assault bike, this can help you get through that for just a little bit longer, just so it increases your capacity to do the work, just because you don't feel as crap from the lactic acid. You want to have about 2 to 5 grams a day. So for both creatine and beta-alanine, you can have them any time of day because you have to load them up over time and then maintain those stores. It's not something that you like take it beforehand and it changes your training. It's a long term, you have it every single day. What else about beta-alanine? Oh yeah, it's got the tingles. So if you guys have ever had pre-workout before, it makes your face tingle. If you don't like that, you can just do less. So if you want to still get 2 to 5 grams to load your muscles stores over time, just sprinkle it on your food across the day, and you'll be able to load your stores that way without getting the paresthesia or something, the tingles that comes all over your face. However, I personally love to use it as a pre-workout because the face tingles make me want to move because it's like spiders crawling over me. Up to you. And then last one's caffeine. We know that caffeine increases sport performance by up to 3%, if not more, maybe up to 5% max. 1 to 3 milligrams per kilogram of body weight is how much we need before we train, within 2 hours before we train. However, you don't need to do the math. It's just a cup of coffee, nothing fancy, about a cup of coffee. There's a threshold though. More does not mean better performance. That's not how it works. Everybody has a capacity. If you go over, you're just gonna make your heart race and you're gonna feel really uncomfortable. You're probably gonna have a worse workout. So 1 cup of coffee, all you need.
So what's the go with the coffee? You get mixed facts about coffee. People say have a black coffee. Some people say have a cappuccino. Some people say have a bulletproof coffee. All these things. No,
Black coffee is all you need. Caffeine, you can even do caffeine tablets, the NoDoz or something, that's what they're called. You can get them at Woolies. All the different types of coffees that people do, they're just adding milk or butter is what's that one called, the bulletproof one. It's more of a taste preference, really. It's not doing anything fancy inside your body. It's just having a milky coffee before you train can be satisfying that protein requirement. So I said before we should have a little bit of protein and carbohydrate before we train. Skim milk is an awesome option because skim milk is both protein and carbohydrate. Add some coffee to that, you really got something. You got energy for your training, both in carbohydrate form, caffeine form, and you've got protein. Yeah? Sweet. About 2 hours, within 2 hours. It could be right before, I bring my coffee to training because it's so early in the morning. And my last little bits are plan ahead.
So if you do the NoDoz, how?
The NoDoz tablets. So it's about 150 milligrams is how much you would want from it. 150 to 200 milligrams in a NoDoz capsule. I don't know how much they put in those, but I'm assuming it's gonna be 1 or 2 tablets.
About 2, I think. But
okay.
When are you saying before training?
Oh, like an hour for the NoDoz. Yeah. I mean, what's happening?
It's not amphetamines or anything.
no, they're just. I don't know.
About an hour. Okay.
It's easy if you get up at 5:30 and NoDoz 2 hours before the coffee, isn't it?
All right. So plan ahead or plan to fail. Make sure you know what you're doing the following day. All right. Key takeaway right there. Please do that. Fuel your training. You can't run your car on an empty tank. You're going to perform a whole lot better if you have something in your system before you go, even if it's just some juice. Prioritize your protein intake across the day. Remember I said regular doses of protein across the day. Think of it as every time you go to put something in your mouth, think about where the protein is every time. Even if it's just a snack, if you're just having an apple as a snack, should I pair this with some protein? Probably yes. Majority of the time, yes. Make sure that you're having lots of nutrient-dense color across the day, lots of micronutrients, lots of fiber. Practice sitting with the discomfort of dieting. Sit with it. Be okay with it. Okay? Don't get frustrated by it. You're here for a reason. It's only 6 weeks. You can do it. And then use your support network. Use the teams that we set up with James. Okie dokie. Question time. Anybody? Dietetics questions. I'm here. Oh, there's my details. I have a QR code. I found that last night. I know. I found out that Instagram could do that last night. I was like, that'd be really handy. Yeah, everyone's got one. Everyone's got a QR code.
You know, with the meal prepping, how long, like you said, meat on the weekend, how long can you actually leave that in the fridge?
I'm going to say 4 days. I have pushed it to 6, but the food safety guidelines, 4 days. Depends on how cold your fridge is, depends on what's happening. I work in Canberra. I work in Canberra a lot, and I will meal prep all my stuff on a Sunday, and I'll put it in a fridge down at work, and then usually by the Friday it's a little bit, perhaps not. Yeah.
I rule if I'm at home, it's like 1 day.
1 day? No. 4 days. At least 4 days is really good. Like there's not, if it's in a fridge and it's temperature controlled, it's absolutely still good. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. But I don't.
You can push it to 7.
You can probably push it. Yeah.
How do broken chain amino acids work in a protein? How does that work?
Broken chain amino
Yeah,
acids?
is it one protein 21 links of amino acid and it breaks it down? Is that correct?
Are you asking me how protein is broken down?
Yeah. Is it broken down into amino acids? Is that
That is very specific. I don't even know how to, I've never been asked a question like that before. What's the outcome of this question?
What I want to know is the BCCA.
Yes. I can answer that question. Okay. It's different. No, it's different. Okay, so a whole protein, a complete protein, so like meat or dairy, these are complete proteins from animal sources. They have our entire 21 or 23, however many, the complete amount of amino acids that we need to build muscle tissue, right? BCAAs are only 4 of those amino acids. So it's been proven in the last about 10 years, because there was some early research on BCAAs that was like, it can help during dieting, prevent muscle breakdown. It's actually not true. BCAAs, I tell people if they've still got BCAAs in their cabinet, use it as a sweet soft drink, but it's actually not going to be doing anything for you compared to protein itself. So our whey protein or our meat protein or complete proteins, because it's a limiting factor. If you only have 4 amino acids, you're not going to be getting the same muscle tissue synthesis as you would with the complete set of amino acids that you get from the animal protein. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was under the understanding that because they were broken down, you didn't have to go through that step of breaking down the protein. Therefore, your body, your muscles can absorb it quicker to repair.
I think I would argue that because I don't think I've never heard the term pre-broken down. Like a whey protein and a BCAA still has to go through the same pathway to get into your bloodstream. So it's not having it like just set into 4 amino acids isn't going to change the fact that when it gets into your bloodstream, we need the complete set for muscle protein synthesis to occur. Does that make sense?
He's getting a bit confused because branch chain amino acids. He's thinking
Branch chain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So BCAA is branch.
BCAA is branch chain
Yes.
amino acids.
Thank you.
Broken. I don't know. You made that up.
Thank you. Yeah.
Maybe wrong, but I was trying to, when someone was explaining it to me, I only got a vague idea of the concept of it.
Yeah.
I thought, well, next time someone
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so yeah, it's branched-chained amino acids. Yeah, so and all that means is just a short amount of the complete set of amino acids. And to be honest, with the amount of literature that's come out, I'm like 90% sure that the only reason BCAAs are still on shelves for people to buy is because companies are getting an income. Like there's actually no difference. Well, I would say if you went to consume protein for the purpose of muscle protein synthesis to build muscle or to preserve muscle, and you went to consume BCAAs, you're not going to get any effect. there might be a small effect because it has been shown in the early research. There's a small effect there, but when you have whey, the complete set, or any sort of animal product, you're going to be getting a huge, like much bigger stimulus in that muscle protein synthesis and carry over into continued growth for a longer period of time. If you are interested in the nerd version, I can send you a paper that shows like the graph bars of the different timelines that compares whey and animal products and BCAAs. Pretty fun stuff.
The fact that I had the wrong term for it explained it.
That helped a lot. Thank you.
Should you be having like casein at
Yep.
night?
So that one again, it's sort of like apples to oranges, same sort of thing. Whey does go faster into your bloodstream. Casein does go slower.
Because that's better for going slower is while you're asleep at night,
Yeah,
digesting the
yeah,
casein.
yeah.
longer.
I would say the difference though in reality is going to be like a 1%. Like it's not going to be a huge, it's more of like it's a marketing version, I feel, of it being like essential, because you could do a whey or a casein or even just some steak right before bed and you're still going to get like very similar terms of like muscle protein, muscle MPS, I call it MPS overnight. So yeah, that one's really up to you. But what has been definitely shown in the research is nighttime protein does make a difference. Whatever kind of protein makes a big difference if you're having it before bed. That's been repeated multiple times, but it can be any kind.
So if you're going to have a steak right before bed, is it too comfortable lying? Then you get
It's not comfortable. Yeah, so that's where casein would be a good option. Yeah.
But what about then a whey protein shake?
Same. Yeah, same. I would go with really flavor, texture, price on those two. Even with my like elite athletes that I've worked with, I let them choose whey, casein, whey protein isolate, as long as it's those are all forms of a whey. So you're covering all the bases. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, can you overdo protein?
No.
Wouldn't that count against the calories though?
Yes.
I mean, that's the only...
Yeah, that's the only limiting I would say. So there is, in terms of like overeating protein in the research around sports, there was some early stuff about bodybuilders overdoing it and messing with their liver. But what they failed to address in those studies was this is like in the 90s when the majority of these bodybuilders were doing other things that were impacting their liver, and it wasn't the protein. Because there's definitely solid evidence now for upwards of 3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day is still really great for athletes, and it's not damaging to their livers at all. And that's why I'm like, there's really no limit, because if you actually, like if I actually did 3 grams, I'm 100 kilos, 3 grams for me would be 300 grams of protein. That would be eating like 5-6 whole chickens a day, which is kind of impossible. If you're determined. But yeah, so you can overdo it in terms of your calorie requirements for the diet, for sure. Yeah.
Isn't there a limit to how much protein your body can consume in one sitting though?
There
If
is.
you try and consume 60 grams, your body's only going to absorb 40 grams?
Well, it's not. They try to say it's not that cut though. So you can consume all of your protein for the day in one sitting. It's not going to be optimal, but you can do it. And you will store some of it as fat, just like you would if you ate anything that, like a huge meal in the middle of the day, that's your only meal of the day. If you ate 2,000 calories and that was it, you're going to store some of it as fat no matter what the macronutrient ratio is. But that's because you're going to keep using that fat for energy until the next time you eat again. So it's the same sort of thing with if you eat all of your protein in one dose, you're still going to end up utilizing it. Some of it your fat, some of it goes into your muscle tissue. I would say for the amount per sitting, in terms of like the 40 grams, 60 grams, even 80 grams, it's less about how much you're eating in that sitting. It's more about how many times across the day are you having it. I wouldn't worry about overdoing it in one sitting though. Like it's not going to be harmful. It's only going to be beneficial because you might be the type of person that can absorb that much. Some people can only maybe absorb 20 grams. Some people could absorb up to 60 grams. You just don't know. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about being pedantic about it. Yeah.
What about a protein shake before training?
Yeah, totally
And
fine.
a protein shake after training?
Totally fine. You just
Another meal straight after.
totally fine. As long as you're in your calorie requirements, you're totally fine doing that. And I would say it's probably even beneficial to your body composition if we get really nitpicky about your protein utilization, carbohydrate utilization, where the like how your muscle tissue is recovering and fat mass and all these things. If you're eating the majority of your food around your training and you're eating less food when you're sedentary, it usually tends to be better for your body composition by a few percentages.
There's the problem.
Why?
Eating less food when you're sitting.
Exactly, because nobody wants to eat less when you go to dinner at nighttime with your family. You know, that's really tough. But again, these are the pedantic things. Like you can still achieve really great results regardless of the meal timing. As long as you're in your daily requirements, you eat whatever, whenever during that day, and you're within your daily requirements, you're gonna see results. You'll just see a little bit more optimal results if you time things around your training. Yeah? Sweet. Okay, if that's pretty much everything, I'll get you guys to add us on the MyFitnessPal. That's a great question. You can just add me, my username. It's just Claire Buchel on MyFitnessPal. Huh?
I don't even know. I'm like just got in it, so I don't know where to pay for it.
Oh, you should not have to pay for it. Get the free version.
That's if you want the pro version.
Trial. I already had it. But just one less free trial, but I'll pay after that.
No. Make sure you.
Was it called something
Yeah,
else?
scroll down further.
Email address is already on there.
MyFitnessPal?
We have to, can't we just do it on paper?
No, it's been the same, but they've completely updated their app. So they've changed it in like the last year. There's been some really amazing. I honestly don't like MyFitnessPal. I prefer MacroFactor, but it's a paid app, but it's a really wonderful app from my perspective, and it's worth it. But for the purpose of this challenge, MyFitnessPal free version, we can all see each other's.
I use
Noom, yeah.
Pay for it.
Has that been working?
It did at first, but then I went off it. Now I'm back on it. So
Can I see what it looks like? I've always been very curious.
yeah, kind of
Because it's more
to FitnessPal, but less.
it's more about like behavior, isn't it? It's less about
You get like brain training every day, which I don't have. But
Cool.
when I was doing it,
yeah.
losing more weight. Sweet. Yeah,
I've heard good things about it.
it's good. Just haven't used it.
It didn't? Hold on. It might be actually C. Buchel without the Claire.
It's Buchel. It says that it doesn't mind.
Hold on a second. Oh,
Oh no, wait, no, I think Sequel Show works. Did you get my invite?
Without having sponsors.
Yeah, just Sequel Show.
What's your email address? There's a thing covering it.